From the 90.7 WMCO Geyer studio, you're tuned in to the Muskie Sports Blast, where we take a deep dive into the Muskie Pond to learn more about the impact the Muskie athletes have on and off the playing field. Always surprising, always fun. This is the Muskie Sports Blast on 90.7 The Orbit.
Hello and welcome to the Muskie Sports Blast here. Will Ford in the Geyer studio with the Muskegon Fighting Muskies football team. We have offensive line coach Ed Reny and junior offensive lineman Josiah Leasure. Coach Reny, how are you doing tonight, my friend?
Hey, it's been a great day so far.
Glad to hear it. Josiah, how are you, my friend?
Having a great day, thanks.
Awesome. How's the semester going for you, Josiah? How are your classes going and stuff?
Classes are classes.
Fair.
Up and down. But they're all going good. Professors are real nice and everything, so we're getting everything situated.
What's your major?
Business management.
Awesome. Do you know what you want to do when you grow up or graduate?
Yeah, I want to try to go out to do some type of construction management on the field, out there and outside. I want to be behind a desk all day.
Nice. That's fair. Yeah, I don't think anybody. Yeah, I don't want to do that either. But that's fair. So, Coach, before we dive into the game from over the weekend, Saturday was Senior Day. You're recognizing a bunch of seniors on the team: Sean Andor, Brian Brown, TJ Boyd, Connor Finicum, Lucas Forte, Jordan Garrett, Iggy Horvath, Cortez McGinnis, Chris Shakespeare. I know that the game didn't end up the way that you wanted to, with a win for your seniors and stuff like that. But could you describe the moment, before the game, recognizing all the seniors and just kind of the emotion behind that moment there for those guys?
Yeah, no, it was a big deal. It was a big deal for those guys, for this team, because those are the guys that have been through it all, through the transition, through the battles of, growing the culture and getting it to where it's at now. Those are the guys who've been the staples.
Right.
And, from that standpoint, it was emotional for everyone. It's TJ, Iggy, I'm going to miss those guys.
Right.
Good football players, great people, and it's going to be tough to replace them in the room, from that standpoint.
Right.
But, what's great is that they set us up in a position to do so.
And Josiah, you're a junior on this team, and so you've been playing with Iggy and TJ for a couple years now. But with just really all the seniors, you've been playing with them for the last couple of years. You've seen them put in a lot of work. What has it been like being teammates with TJ and Iggy on the offensive line, but then just the rest of the seniors in general?
All the seniors together have been a huge impact on me. Coming in as a freshman, I was thrown into a spot that I didn't think I was able to do. I was starting, and being young, I had a lot of self-doubt, but they just kept on reassuring me and being good teammates, being there for me when I needed it. TJ and Iggy, I couldn't ask for a better O-line group with them in there too as seniors, just helping me out as a young guy from freshman all the way to now, and now the chemistry shows.
Yeah, and Coach, like Josiah said, Iggy and TJ on that offensive line, being the seniors leading that group, what has their leadership been like for not only the guys on the offensive line and developing that core, but then just the entire offense?
I think a big thing is that, Iggy's not much of a talker, and neither is TJ, but they go out and, practice his games and great focus, great detail in what they're trying to do, knock out. And, I think that rubs off on some of the younger guys. And obviously Josiah said it as well, everyone sees that, to some extent. They're not big talkers, and that's fine. You don't have to lead through that way every single time.
Lead by example.
100%. So, no, I think that's a big part of how they affect, our room as an O-line room and the team.
So now diving into the game a little bit, did lose to Heidelberg over the weekend, but the defense, I want to start out with early on in the game. The defense did force a 3-and-out against Heidelberg on their first drive, and then the first offensive drive for your Muskies did have a fumble, and you kind of gave the ball right back, and then Heidelberg went down the field and scored. But how much emphasis are you putting on kind of taking care of the football this week, considering kind of 2 of the last 3 games you had this game against Heidelberg and then against Baldwin Wallace, that first drive of the game, you turned the ball over and then you gave it right back to pretty good offenses.
It's been an emphasis for us this whole season, especially in terms of some young guys or some less experienced runners that we've had holding onto the ball. Ball security is everything.
Right.
We can't do what we're supposed to do as an offense without it. And especially how our offense is built, possessions are everything, and we want 15-play drives, touchdowns, 10 minutes off the clock. And so, as we continue to work on that and emphasize that, it's an everyday thing.
Right.
It's an everyday thing, and obviously once the guys get that locked in, they're going to get more opportunities and build off of that. You know, so it's a huge emphasis going into this week for sure, as every possession's going to matter. Right,
for sure. And, Josiah, just touching on that first drive of the game there for a moment. Like, so when your defense gets that stop, obviously gives your offense a lot of energy when you go out on the field, and then you do unfortunately have the turnover, you give it back, and then they go down and score. Does that affect your confidence level at all when you come back out on the second drive, third drive of the game? Or, I mean, do you just put it behind you and you're like, hey, that's okay, we got them on this drive?
Yeah, there's a big emphasis on this team. It's the next play is like that's your play you have to make. Don't worry about the previous play. If it was a bad play, you just forget it. It's on to the next. Don't dwell on the past and just hope for the best in the future and just try your hardest.
For sure. Now, Coach, one aspect that I kind of noticed during the game, and I think it certainly drew a lot of attention, at least from a fan's perspective, was the officiating, especially like early on in that first half. And I don't want to sit here and say that, officials won or lost anyone in the game or anything like that. That obviously, both teams made great plays, mistakes were made on both sides and whatnot. But what was your takeaway from some of the calls, especially in the first half of that game? Because it seemed like, fans were upset. There was a lot of confusion about certain things that were going on, and I'm sure that you might have had some discussions with officials and stuff. What was your takeaway from all of that unfolded?
I'm big on the emphasis of we got to control what we can control.
Sure.
I tell my guys that all the time. Heck, wife got in a car accident a couple weeks ago. Car's totaled. Got some issues. I can't control that though.
Right.
It is what it is. Right. I go find a new car and still make it into work every day.
Mm-hmm.
Right. So the mindset is hey, we're gonna go back out there, play this next rep, do our next job, execute, because that's what we can control.
Mm-hmm.
Right. I can't control the refs.
Sure.
Coach Eider will try to control the refs, right?
Sure.
But
stick up for his guys.
Yep, 100%. And definitely in terms of that, it's frustrating. It stinks. But hey, we live. We keep going to the next play, and hey, we got to go do our job.
Yeah, and Josiah, there was a play at the end of the first half where. So your offense just went down and scored, and you're down 14, and then I think there's a minute left in the half, and if you don't allow Heidelberg to score, you get the ball to start the third, so you could have a chance to cut it to 7, going into the third quarter. But then there was a play, a deep ball down the sideline, where it looked like, I forget who was in coverage, but the defensive back kind of like pushed the receiver a little bit, and then the catch was made, but it looked like it was clearly out of bounds. I don't know if you saw that play. I'm sure you did. Like, what was your perspective when all of that unfolded? The catch it's called a catch by the official, but it looks like, everyone in the stadium thought it was not a catch. What did you see?
It wasn't a catch, but you can't control, like Coach Reny said, you can't control what they do and the calls they make and what happens out there on the field when you're not there. The best thing you do is just control your mindset and get out there and do the next play, and that's what we try to do.
Yeah, for sure. And then one more question for you, Josiah, before I go back to Coach. But overall, when you came out of the game on Saturday, what did you like about some of the things the O-line did, and what do you think needs some improvement as you go into Mount this week?
Some of the things I think we can improve is just some better pass pro, running the ball, just getting our double teams up to the linebackers, bodies for bodies, like how our offense is designed so we can break loose. We're not designed to get 50 yards of play. We're designed to nickel and dime and dime and dime. So those are the things I think we can improve. But the things I liked is how tough we were in the situations and not letting the referees determine how we were going to play. Yeah, they might frustrate you, but you don't talk to the refs. You just play the game, and it's always the next play.
Yeah. The same question to you, Coach. What were some of your takeaways, like some of the things you liked about what the offensive line did, the offense did, and then some things that you think just needs a little bit of improvement these last couple weeks of the season?
For sure. In the moment, obviously super frustrating leaving the field, but getting a chance to sit down and watch some film, I can see that the guys have come a long ways in terms of our assignments, what we're supposed to be doing, understanding the scheme, because it's not just good enough to write it on paper and say, hey, this is what we're doing.
Right.
We got to go execute, and there was more of that, and that's definitely been building throughout the season. So definitely improvement there in terms of the X's and O's of football, understanding our jobs, getting that done. And that's all 5 guys communicating up front, not just 1 or 2 knowing what they're doing.
Right.
So I think that's a huge improvement, and that's going to continue to build. Now, as Josiah said, hey, we got to get better in pass pro. And that's ultimately falls on me to push the guys to get there. But it's tough when they have running game, right, or they have scores dictating what we have to do on offense, and we got to throw the ball some more. Well, hey, we got to make sure we step up and protect the dudes behind us, because that we got some special dudes back there.
Right, for sure. The Muskie Sports Blast with Muskingum football. Will Ford in the Geyer studio. And we have offensive line coach Ed Reny and junior offensive lineman Josiah Leasure. Thanks again to both of you for taking your time out of your schedule to join the show this evening. And Coach, I want to open back up previewing this matchup with Mount Union coming up this weekend. And it, I didn't see any of the game, Mount Union versus Ohio Northern last week, but I did see like some score updates throughout the game, and it seemed like Mount Union was kind of in the fight for their lives in that game, because obviously we know the history with Mount Union. They've historically been, such a great football program, especially in the OAC, and it seemed like they had a tough game against Ohio Northern, which is a team you beat in week 2. But were you able to catch any film from that game to see what the Polar Bears were doing to kind of give Mount Union fits?
Yeah, no, for sure, and just got done watching and talking about that as a staff earlier, right before coming in here, and I'd say the biggest thing is that I think ONU came out ready to play.
Mm-hmm.
I was watching what they were doing. They weren't doing anything outside of what their offense is built for, and honestly, I think Mount Union came out thinking, hey, they just lost to Capital, here we go,
right,
and then they had to react and start up mid-game, and I think ONU came out ready to play, doing what they do with the players they have, and I think that's more or less how that went, and congrats for what ONU did, but hey, you know what, we beat ONU, let's go do the same thing for us.
Right, for sure. So are you talking about that with your players this week on the team, like kind of like the mindset that ONU had? You just go into the game like, we don't care who Mount Union is, we're just going to go out there and play our game, and we're going to take it to them. Is that what you're telling your team this week? Like, Mount Union's no different than any other opponent we're going to play this year?
Yeah, no, 100%, and that's the mindset every week.
Right.
It's as Josiah was saying, hey, we got what we can control. Let's go control our mindset. Let's go out here and play some football.
Mm-hmm. Now, Josiah, there was a lot of turnovers in that game between ONU and Mount. There was 6 interceptions in total. And, of course, it seems like that's a huge opportunity for your defense this week to go out there and fly to the ball and maybe force some turnovers. But what do you think the offense needs to do, particularly with the O-line, to play a clean game of football?
Just they like to twist a lot. They like to bring some pressures. As an O-line, if we're in pass pro or even in the run game, we need to pick up those pressures and get JG and whoever's back there running, whether it's Jay Bell, Donnie, anybody, get them the ball and get downfield.
Right, yeah. And, Coach, I know you're on the offensive side of the ball, so you're mostly working with the offensive line, but so you know what goes into an effective running game, of course, but Mount Union averages about 190 yards a game on the ground. Is there anything you're doing this week, maybe mimicking the way Mount runs the football, to kind of help prepare your defensive line for this game? I don't know if there's anything that you do in practice to help out with the defensive front at all.
No, for sure. And we do have a couple periods throughout the week where we go one-on-ones goods and help each other out in terms of some looks. We do have our scout team periods where some of the younger guys are giving us those looks, but definitely in terms of one-on-ones and getting the best versus the best out there sharing looks.
Right.
We take a good mindset in terms of that throughout the week, and in terms of what we can do, it's let's go out and make sure we have our mind right, our assignment right, and let's go be physical. Yeah,
for sure. And Josiah, Mount averages between 2 and 3 sacks per game, 19 on the season. You did give up 5 to Heidelberg over the weekend. Is there anything that you're working on in practice this week to improve the pass protection and kind of protect the little brother back there in JG?
Yeah, we're Coach Rennie will have us do a lot of blitz pickups and twist pickups and individual, and then even in team he'll have them schemed up so we can see those looks, and then when we watch them on film the next day we can learn from them. So yeah, we just constant repetition of picking up the blitz and all their stunts and getting an idea of what they're doing. Now,
Coach, does anything go into that as far as picking up blitz packages where you maybe bring a running back in pass protection, or Gannon Unger at tight end maybe stays on the line to kind of help out a little bit if they're bringing 6, maybe you bring in Gannon's, and that way you have six hats on six hats or anything like that? Are you working with anything as far as bringing someone else in to help with the pass protection?
Yeah, no, we are, and that's something day one install for us as we get into camp. So definitely in terms of that, it's making sure tailbacks understanding, hey, they not only have to know who they're looking for, but how the O-line is fitting up things as well, and being able to recognize and react just as well as the O-line does.
Right.
And so six-man pass pro, hey, that's 6 men in there, right? You got to go out and protect, as well as, we have some full slide protections and so forth as well built into our offense. So
yeah. And now between this week and next week, your football team has a chance to win 5 games in a season for the first time since 2003. And so obviously the goal is to win every single game you play, right? But is this milestone of having the best record that this program has had in the last 18 years, is that something that you've thought about or discussed as a team or as a staff?
We definitely have, but back to the mindset of, Coach Yatter talks about it all the time, is, hey, let's go out and be 1-0 this week.
Sure.
Right? We don't want to get too far ahead of ourselves, because obviously OAC ball, anything can happen.
Oh, yeah.
And so we got to make sure we're locked into the job, and that job this week is let's go beat Mount Union.
So it's kind of similar question for you, Josiah. Are you talking about that with your teammates at all? As does that kind of pump you up, knowing that, like, hey, we have a chance to do something that hasn't been done in almost 20 years?
I think that's something that's fueling a lot of guys, and just knowing how much this program and everything's came since then, and all the adversity that we've had and everything, COVID,
right.
It's endless. But yeah, just having the right mindset, going out there and winning every week. It's OAC ball, but having that on the back burner to really motivate you.
Yeah. Well, Coach Josiah, I really appreciate you taking the time to join the Muskie Sports Blast this evening. Love having Muskingum football on, as I say, every week. And I'm not just saying that. Like, I love interviewing this team each and every week. You guys are a blast, and best of luck this weekend against Mount Union.
Thanks.
All right, thank you.
So a big thank you to Coach Reny and Josiah Leasure for joining the Muskie Sports Blast this evening. The 4-4 Muskingum football team will play at Mount Union on Saturday, November 6th at 1:30, and WMCO will be on the call with live coverage beginning at 1:15. Thank you for listening to this Monday's edition of the Muskie Sports Blast.